if you're in the pro-black community, you've heard of certain names. Dr. Claude Anderson, Dr. John Henry Clark, or Dr. Ben. All of these men represent a certain status of eldership in the pro-black world. And another man holds this title also, Professor James Smalls. Now, Professor James Smalls is an African-American scholar, Pan-Africanist historian. He's been even a professor of Africana studies at the City University of New York. He's actually been teaching this stuff for years. He's a longtime expert on Black liberation in the Pan-African community. He's been active since the 60s. And he's also a person that is a consultant on films like Hidden Colors, and we'll get into that. And obviously, this is a person that even Tariq Nasheed really, really respected in the community. Again, he was in Hidden Colors 2, 3, 4, and also 5. So he's also there. Him and Tariq Nasheed had a certain relationship that spans at least a decade. However, within the last, 5 to 6 years, Tariq Nasheed has been very, very strong about the delineation. And this has caused Professor Smalls to have some level of criticism towards Tariq.
Now, I don't agree, and I'll call names. I don't agree with Tariq's rhetoric, okay? He's done some very good things, but words have meaning and words have power. And you can use it once you've got a technology like we have today. One word can be so destructive you couldn't imagine it.
Yeah.
When you are constant in using the N-word and you're constant in condemning an African simply because they're an immigrant and you're constant, then there's something wrong with your knowledge base, not just your analysis. You have to have a decent knowledge foundation to even make an analysis. Tariq has pulled together a lot of fantastic scholars. Now, how much of that scholarship he has absorbed becomes another question. And he's my friend and my brother.
So that's Professor James Small basically taking a dig at Tariq Nasheed's behavior, so to speak. Tariq Nasheed, when he does roast people sometimes in the African community, there are some, names being put out there. There's some thumbnails that he uses. And so Professor James Small has criticized Tariq Nasheed openly for this. But then after criticizing Tariq Nasheed, he said this.
Comrades and brother Tariq Nasheed, let me be very clear. Tariq is my brother. Tariq is my comrade. I'm proud of the work that he's done in Hidden Colors. I'm proud of the conferences he's done in trying to deal with reparations. I'm proud of the museum that he's put together. And if I want to criticize him about language and words he used, I've done it publicly and to him privately. That's what men do. Children, I don't want to call you the name you deserve, so I'll say children try to create conflict between brothers for the purpose of having conflict. To me, that's an attack on the black race and an attack on our effort to free ourselves. So children, back the hell up. Tariq and I are comrades, brothers, and friends. You ain't gonna mess with that. Leave it alone. Peace and blessings.
Now, in this clip, he's saying, listen, you guys are trying to cause division between me and Tariq.
Boy, you don't sit your stupid ass down. Who the you think you is?
Nothing is wrong with us. We are brothers in arms. This, that, and the third. And then again, Tariq Nasheed, having respect for Professor James Small, never took any shots at him. And then recently, there was this interview.
You've probably seen this petty beef, between Africans and African Americans.
But we don't know how much American State Department or Justice Department is involved in Foundation of Black America. Who's getting paid the money to say what they're saying? So what you're seeing ain't quite what you see, and there's only a piece of what you see.
So this last interview is what people are really up in arms about, because you see James Small talking about FBA, and he's insinuating that the person that has the most to gain from it, which is Tariq, is also an agent. Now, this is interesting because we've heard him just right here, insinuate that him and Tariq Nasheed are buddies. I mean, he's been in several Hidden Colors. I've already named at least 4 times he's been inside of those things. Then he also said that for those people who were trying to cause division between him and Tariq, you know, you're the problem. But now we're hearing Professor James Small himself call Tariq an agent. Now, this is interesting because Tariq Nasheed would respond to this.
But yeah, the thing with James Small, I know a lot of people are talking about that. You know, James Small, Professor James Small. A lot of people have been on his bumper because he was very, very disrespectful to the lineage, very disrespectful to me. And yeah, he said some little disrespectful stuff before, and I kind of let it slide. I didn't, you know, I'm like, okay. You know, he's in the new movie that we're working on, Hidden Colors 6. And basically what it looks like, because James Small, he was one of the main people talking delineation language.
Tariq mentioned something that's important, delineation language. Now, I did not know this, but shout out to Brother George Macon over at Street Media TV. He also came from the Sonetter TV camp, and he actually had receipts of this delineation language from Professor James Small.
Allow people to have us deny our identity as African Americans, while other Africans come from other places and try to assume that identity for economic reasons and political reasons, and yet do not ally themselves with the African American in most instances. That those immigrant African community tend to ally themselves with the European American, not understanding what the historical relationship between the African American and the European American is, or the war, the cultural war and the spiritual war and the economic war and the political war that still exists between those two communities. So when you're an African from another place and you come and say, well, I can't get caught up in that, I'm here to make money, then you ally yourself with someone I'm at war with and wonder why I treat you a certain way. So you need to understand what you have just done. Besides disrespecting me in my country, something I would never do to you in your country. I would not go to Senegal and choose the side of the French against you. I would not come to Jamaica and choose the side of the Brits against you. So why would you come to America and choose the side of the white American for whatever reason, economic, political, cultural, or whatever, against me and my interests, and then tell me I'm unwelcoming to you? I welcome my friends and my brothers and sisters. I do not welcome my enemies, whether they look like me or not.
So there we have Professor James Small saying something very similar to what Tariq Nasheed is saying. Now, Tariq Nasheed, who typically would come after somebody with more vigor, but because of who Professor James Small is, he also reveals this.
But let me say this for the record. I'm not rocking with Professor Smalls anymore. The disrespect, because I've shown that man nothing but respect. Family that he has a hotel over there in Africa. When that shit was failing, I gave money to help him out with that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that type of the little disrespect, and he's been kind of doing that. He gets with these tethers and been taking shots at me, but then he just went real disrespectful to me, and there's a point of no return. You know, there's a point of no return with some of the stuff he was saying about me. That ain't so. For the record, I'm letting folks know. Yeah, all that respect the elders. I respect the elders if you are respectable, because you start kind of lying and saying shit you know ain't true. I have no respect for you at this point. I've lost all respect for Professor Smalls. I don't rock with him. We're taking him out of the movie, Hidden Colors 6. He's not going to be in it. It's going to be a minute. We're re-editing that. We're taking him out.
Now, he is saying that, you know, I've helped him out in the past, but the disrespect has gone too far. He was going to put him in Hidden Colors 6, and now he's taking him out. Okay, now I've listened to both sides of the argument. This is actually what I believe. Number one, Professor James Small is dealing with Tariq Nasheed's language, all right? And if you're a person that's built your identity as a hardcore Pan-Africanist like Professor James Small, and I'm not talking about somebody like me who is kind of moderate are kind of in the middle or have experienced things that make me see the world one way or the other. If you're Professor James Small, if you're a real hard body Pan-Africanist old school, he has to say something like this. The reason is because it's the wording that he's dealing with, all right? And I'm trying to see it from his angle. Professor James Small, since the 60s and 70s, has been doing this and living this lifestyle, and he expresses the same thing that Tariq Nasheed does, and in that the message that James Small uses is the same, but the wording is different. Tariq Nasheed will roast Africans, he will make, fun of certain things. He doesn't hate Africans, obviously, and his real roasts are against those people who disrespect Black Americans. But if you're really key into his lives or into his Twitter spaces, he's always respectful to people that are respectful to him. Now, Tariq Nasheed does have an entertainment aspect of his commentary, which Professor James Small is more academic. So what James Small is dealing with is some nuances and how he's approaching the situation. But clearly to me, he's not listening to all what Tariq is saying in some of these streams or some of these videos, right? But I get it. He has to be against what Tariq Nasheed is doing because he's a Pan-Africanist and a hardcore Pan-Africanist such as him, like hard body. There's no way he can fundamentally agree with delineation. That would not be true, okay? Here's the big issue. Tariq Nasheed has not changed his position in about the last 7 or 8 years. This has been very consistent. So on one end, you don't like how he's saying it, but every opportunity that comes up for Hidden Colors, you're willing to go there and get paid. You don't mind, using Tariq Nasheed's platform to elevate yourself. And Tariq Nasheed even said that you have admitted that you have benefited from working with Tariq Nasheed. Now, you have also said publicly that Tariq Nasheed is your brother and that people should not be trying to drive division in between the two of you, because while you disagree with him, you appreciate the good that he has done. But as an elder, what you do is you go back on your word on to somebody else's show, and then you then call this man the FBI or the CIA, and they're paying him, but you are going to be in Hidden Colors. And this is why people are looking at Professor James Small with the side eye, because on one end, he's the CIA agent and all it is, but you sure don't mind getting no money from him. And when you needed help with your hotel that was failing in Ghana, you was able to take the money from him then. So what is it? Is it that if you're not gonna deal with him, then why you telling us that y'all ain't got no issues? But then come out there and then turn on the guy when you going, every time you got a Hidden Colors, you there collecting a check. And for me, that is fake. That is phony, all right? If you don't like what he does, simply don't deal with him. The fact is, what he's complaining about, you have been complaining about for years. In fact, you were one of the first to complain about it. And to be honest, I have seen exactly what both of y'all have said. I live in Africa, and I talk about the same things on my channel. I'm a person that is in the Pan-African community, but I do understand that there is a lack of disparity, or there is not a lot of parity between the Black diaspora and Africa. And that's something that needs to be fixed, right? And that's not even just the Black community or the Black American community. I find a disparity between Africans living in the diaspora and Africans on the continent. I see that just with them, not only us, and those are the things that need to be addressed. But I digress. But Professor James Small has lost a lot of support simply by how he handled this. What he should have understood was coming after Tariq in the way that he did out of left field is not something that an elder should do, especially after a decades-long relationship with the man that you were financially benefiting from. You benefited from his audience. You've come onto his documentaries. All of these things you have benefited from. And then after, you have now come out and to say what you're saying, it looks fake as hell. And again, all due respect to Professor James Small. I mean, in the community, he's a legend. You can't take nothing from that. But the way that he handled it was poor, in my honest opinion. It was poor. If you felt like that, if you wanted to distance yourself from him, especially after you were going to be in the new Hidden Colors, you should have distanced yourself from him privately, and we should have never known about it. So guys, what do you think? It's your boy O'Shea Duke Jackson back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Junk. I appreciate you for all that you do. Subscribe to the bell. We're out.